Good evening, everyone. I thought I'd start a little mini documentary series about Rush tickets and more on point tickets about the shows I've been to and go over a little bit about the set list of each show and talk about the album that it was in support of a little bit. So I'll start off, this will be video number one, and start off with the Vapor Trails tour. This was in 2002 on their comeback after their hiatus. After we all know Neil had those tragedies in his life right after Test for Echo was over. So this was, in a sense, the comeback tour. And yeah, they were on fire this whole tour. And I'm sure everybody who saw this tour knows what I'm talking about. I only saw one show, and that was my first ever Rush show, and that was the at the Verizon Wireless, which is Irvine Meadows if you're local to Southern California. And yeah, that was my first foray into live Rush show. And at the time, I only had, I first bought the Vapor Trails, the album, when I bought the ticket, same day. And then I bought, I want to say it was 2112, like a week later, and I think Permanent Waves. And anyway, that kind of got the ball rolling, and ever since I turned on that first intro to One Little Victory, I knew I was in it, and I'd be a Rush fan, turn into a diehard fan for life. And so yeah, you can't say enough about those guys, as you guys all know, who are fans, millions over the world. And so yeah, a little bit about the show. I stood out in front of the I think it was a Warehouse Music. It used to be an old video store, and you'd sit outside and wait for Ticketmaster to open, like the old days before it was all online. And I ended up getting orchestra right in the middle, and I was like dead center in line with Neil's kit. So I thought that was one of the cool points. And I remember the day of the show, it was raining, so they kind of delayed the show a little bit, and then as soon as they took off the tarp off of Neil's drum kit right before the Three Stooges intro, couldn't believe it. I was, here they come. And the first time for me seeing them, I was 18. Our heart started pounding. And from then on, they went right into Tom Sawyer. And it felt every thud from bass drum to Geddy's keys, bass pedals that bass he's known for. And then Alex. Can't say enough about him on his guitar. He's just like a chameleon. And yeah, so after a couple songs into it, kind of catch your breath, Geddy kind of goes out to the audience and, says, hey, does a little bit of, how's everybody doing out there, as they, do about 3-4 songs in. And yeah, it was probably the coolest show for, I'd say, those early Rush shows when they came back that I was able to fortunate to attend. And to see, Free Will done live, just that guitar solo and that drum and bass rhythm section just kills it every time. Although on this tour, they swapped out Natural Science and I think Free Will for Between Sun and Moon, which was never played, off of Counterparts, and Vital Signs off Moving Pictures. So they kind of swapped it out. Well, at this show, it was Natural Science and Free Will, so they're both kick-ass tunes. And it would have been nice to gone up to the LA show to see the other two alternate. But hey, can't complain. You had a Rush show. So they start the second set after about a 20-minute break, come back in, kick right into One Little Victory, and then they go through, I'd say, probably about 4 or 5 songs on and off at the start of the second set for off the Vapor Trails album. And that album in particular, it was really recorded hot before it was remastered later on, probably about 10 years down the line. Me personally, I like it recorded the way it was originally recorded, because it's just absolutely killer sound. And yeah, so just sitting at that show, just getting into them and starting to learn the songs, because I wasn't fully hardcore yet as a fan. And yeah, I just kept going and going. Then intermission came. Then I'm sorry, the last song that was played. Then they came back out, did the encore, and it was a really good one. I think it was La Villa Strangiato, a little bit of Cygnus X1, and then I just want to say it was Limelight to close. Could be wrong on that Limelight, the last song. But yeah, I remember just sitting there after the show was over, just like, wow, those 3 people put out all that sound just by themselves. Just incredible amount of musicianship, and from then on I was hooked. So yeah, just feel free to put some comments down below, share your experiences if you guys all who went to the tour, and maybe if you went to that same show I'm talking about. But subscribe if you like what you hear. I'm gonna go all the way from Vapor Trails up to the very last show I went to, which was on the R40 at the Forum. Last show Rush ever did, and will ever do, unfortunately, due to Neil's passing. And so if you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button. Thanks. Take care.